Expose him! Expose him! Expose him!
Invincible's animation has been talked to death in video after video, and most people agree that it's a combination of a lack of budget and a lack of time that causes the episodes to be so visually mediocre. But the truth is, Amazon could have given Invincible an unlimited budget, and it would probably look the exact same as it does now. Why? One man, Robert Kirkman, the creator and showrunner of Invincible. One thing that's become clear to me as I've watched his interviews, though it's harsh to say, is that Kirkman fundamentally does not respect animation as a medium of storytelling. In basically every respect, he has chosen to treat Invincible as though it were a live-action TV show. Let's start with this line from an interview, where he talks about making a season every year.
Is the long breaks between seasons kill a show?
Yes.
And when you can release a season every year, like it looks like it's going to be going on. So
It's almost like we're doing it how TV was done for 60 years.
Right. But like,
Season 4 will take exactly a year. Kirkman claimed in August that they were working on ADR for Season 4 and animatics for Season 5, so he plans to continue to make 6.5 hours of animation every year. By contrast, Rick and Morty, another yearly release, does 3.25 hours of animation each year. The truth is, Kirkman has no idea how animated TV was done for 60 years. If he did, he'd know that the industry standard for episodes is 22 minutes, not 40 like for live-action shows. His 8-episode seasons are closer to 20 episodes based on pure runtime, and he doesn't hire enough people for the job either. The Legend of Korra, Smiling Friends, and Has-Been Hotel are 3 shows which either have around the same amount of runtime in minutes or less and have double or more the headcount in their animation departments according to IMDb. This is why they can afford to have backgrounds with depth, composited shading, and fluid movements, while Invincible's off-putting PNG slide style is forced upon its animators. And this is fine with Kirkman because he isn't an artist. Here's him talking about the limits of animation. So it has taken a little bit of time to wrap our heads around these limitations because coming from the live-action world, I'm like, animation is like comics. There's no budget, we can do whatever we want. It's not exactly true, which is possibly the reason for some of our delays, because we had a big appetite and unrealistic expectations, and those kinds of things take time, but we're getting a better handle on that, and we're not breaking our teams back with unproducible scripts at times. This lack of experience makes it more puzzling why, rather than contracting Invincible's animation out to another studio like he did for Season 1, he decided to make his own. Judging by the dip in quality for Season 2, he clearly wasn't prepared. So, what's the issue? He was inexperienced, but he'll get the hang of it, right? Well, let's look into his past. Robert Kirkman is a comic writer best known for The Walking Dead and Invincible. He grew up as a fan of zombie movies and began work on comics in 2000, making Invincible in 2003. His comic adaptations were almost all live action, and Invincible is his first animation. This ended up being a huge issue because, as he says, he didn't know much about animation. He isn't an artist, so he's never had to do the drawing for his own comics. Despite this, he has a view of animation and comic art as carte blanche to do whatever he wants in his script, and only after making Invincible Season 1 did he realize that this wasn't possible. It's also worth noting that the celebrity cameos are a plague upon Invincible's budget in all likelihood. The reason is, I believe, because Kirkman believes he's making a live-action TV show where that kind of name recognition matters. Unfortunately, what he ends up getting are a couple of good actors in main roles, but mostly a bunch of background noise that could easily have been filled with industry voice actors for 1/10 of the price for most of his side characters. Acting and voice acting are different skills, and there are so many great VAs out there like Troy Baker, Keith Silverstein, Patrick Pedraza, Alejandro Saab, and Yuri Lowenthal, to name a few. But Kirkman likely doesn't know these names, and he never will because that's just not his sphere. Running through a list of smaller things, Invincible using needle drops is something that's way more reminiscent of live-action TV, especially network TV, compared to animated shows. The cold open with the two villains is something that would also be in place in a live-action show, but just doesn't work in this animation, where the cinematography just isn't as good. The Invincible animation doesn't use much of the 12 principles of animation like squashing and stretching, which is odd considering that even the comic attempts to use some of these. There's an interview where he talks about the upcoming show original subplot for Season 4. Every superhero story has some chapter where they go to hell and they fight the devil. It happens in DC and Marvel comics. It's a big deal. I never got around to doing anything like that in Invincible. I kept getting sidetracked and there was never a good time. So it's entirely possible that we may be doing something like that in the show, and that scene at the end of that episode is setting that up. Oh my god, and we got to work with Bruce Campbell. It's the best. Notice his two loves here. Superhero comics, which are his trade and doing the tropes within them. This is something you'll especially notice in the comics, but Kirkman wanting to have his own version of a lot of different superhero tropes is notable throughout Invincible. He's got to have the sidekick, the alien episode, the time travel episode, the Chinese episode, etc. And his second love is working with famous actors. In this interview, he gushes over Bruce Campbell and earlier Clancy Brown. This is where his mind is at. Comics and actors. He's a fanboy, and honestly, who could blame him? But these priorities don't make for the best show that Invincible could be, because he is not focused on the right things. It's also worth noting that Invincible really has no stylization to it. It doesn't have any unique movements, camera angles, style shifts, playing with lighting, or anything. Obviously, this is because of the lack of staff, but again, it comes down to bad leadership. Even a goofy show like Smiling Friends still has auteur-like sequences where they do unique things with the camera. If Kirkman wanted to focus on these things, he has the ability to negotiate with Amazon for it. He just doesn't. And since I haven't talked about it, the budget. We don't know what it is. A Dexerto article claims that Invincible costs $750K an episode in comparison to The Boys' $15 million an episode. People like to point towards Family Guy's $2 million per episode figure as an industry standard, but that's likely bloated by its long-running cast and the Full House Orchestra contracted to make the OST. But even if Invincible's budget was functionally unlimited, it wouldn't change the unreasonable time frame and the episodes being twice as long as they should be. And knowing Kirkman's priorities now, it's pretty clear he'd rather bring on A-list actors like Leonardo DiCaprio or Samuel Jackson. But while I have my gripes with Invincible, it's not all doom and gloom. Watching Season 4's trailer, we can see a couple of shots with decent backgrounds, good-looking cuts, and actual lighting. I'm excited to see the story, because they're adding a new subplot, but I imagine that just like last time, I'll find the animation a little bit wanting. Still, if they can improve from the lows of Season 2, they'll have me right up until the end of Invincible, which according to Kirkman, will be 7 to 9 seasons.